Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, and Nutritious channel with your host, Hurricane H, here with a special guest. And again, always my guests are special, but we're going to go extra special today because we're going to talk about, again, you heard the Nutritious channel. We're going to talk about nutrition and the importance of nutrition and how it impacts your health, your wellness, your weight, all the stuff that is necessary for us to live a healthier and happier life, I would say. And with me, I have a doctor that specializes in a lot of things. He is also a writer and author, plenty of books, best-selling books, and keynote speaker. I mean, here's a lot. So Dr. Mike Van Thielen, he is a PhD of holistic nutrition, doctor of oriental medicine, certified in Chinese herbal medicine, homeopathy. He is an expert in anti-aging, medical director at Clarigenzi, and that we'll talk about all that, what that company does and the products that they have. So it's a lot to unpack today with our guest, and he's going to drive us into a journey of really health and wellness and how to best fit your nutrition correctly and your supplements and the need stuff. And really, I think we all need to know and pay attention to this because our nutrition today is, I have to say, it's unbelievably not healthy. I mean, at least for the majority of us, we just eat stuff and sometimes it's not good stuff for us. So without any further ado, Dr. Van Thielen, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Hurricane H.
All right. So you want me to call you Dr. Van Thielen? You want me Dr. Mike?
Mike is just good.
Mike it is. All right. So that's it. We got that out of the way, right? So again, I try to give overall introduction about you, doctor, but really you can do better than me at that. So let's give our audiences at least a brief about who Dr. Van Thielen is and your background and what got you into this particular area of nutrition, holistic and oriental medicine and all that stuff.
Yeah, so trying to keep a long story short, people can hear my accent. I'm originally from Belgium in Europe. I grew up in a single mom home. My mom worked very hard to provide for my brother and I. And of course, went to school over there. I was really good at sports. I was on a soccer team, basketball team. I was the fastest runner in the class too, but there was one thing I lost, and it was swimming to one of my better friends because he was part of the local swim team. So my solution as a 7-year-old was to, join the swim team also. It's the only way I could beat him, right? So that's where I found my passion for swimming and competition. And so then later on, I went to the University of Brussels. I did physical education for 4 years, but a lot of fun. But what are you going to really do with that? So then I decided to continue and get my master's in physical therapy. And that's how in 1997, I actually came to the United States because I traveled with the Belgian Olympic swim team in preparation of the Atlanta Games in 1996. And at the time, they were short of therapists in the United States. So I was basically asked, do you want to come and work here? And I was only in my 20s, United States. Of course, I'll come and work there. So it took a little bit for the paperwork, but meanwhile, I saved $400, packed my backpack, put my jeans on, and came to live the American dream. Needless to say, I got knocked down many times. I didn't have any mentor or coach. But my motto quickly became, I never lose. I win or I learn. And so I got into the physical therapy first, but at one of the facilities, I witnessed the better results with combining conventional medicine, such as physical therapy, with alternative medicine, such as acupuncture, herbal medicine, etc. So I got interested. So I went back to school, to the Florida College of Integrative Medicine. I got my license in acupuncture, doctor of Oriental Medicine, board certified in Chinese herbal medicine, homeopathy, all that good stuff. And I would say another several hundred, if not thousand patients later, I concluded that these quote-unquote alternative medicine practices such as acupuncture, food therapy, homeopathy, those things, they are indeed less harmful and less invasive than conventional medicine, meaning drug surgeries and injections. But I really didn't get the long-lasting results I was hoping for either. So I had to go back to basics. And so what I did is I got my PhD in holistic nutrition, and I also looked at Mother Nature to see what the animals in the wild were doing. Because if we just look at those, usually we get the answers, and often they're opposite of what we're actually doing. And so by combining my PhD in holistic nutrition with looking at Mother Nature, I really became very confident in helping anybody not only regain control of their health, but get them in optimal health, and then even biohack. Today, I'm considered a biohacking expert, which means upgrading your body, your mind, and your life, objectively reversing your biological age. And so kind of that's how I came into this industry. I've been a CEO of a stem cell company. I've had med spas, and I kind of went from health to anti-aging to regenerative medicine, and now biohacking. And today I coach and mentor people, athletes, corporations on how to increase focus, productivity, and upgrade that body, upgrade that mind, because the mind controls the body, and the mind also is the blueprint for your success. So the mind's often overlooked, and finally we're getting more and more acknowledgement how powerful the mind is for our successes, for our body, and for our health. Also, so that's where I am today.
Sorry, I had to laugh. Man, I couldn't help it. Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Hey, I'm 78 years old. I had a lot of time to accomplish this.
Yeah, sure. Maybe, so let's be clear. You really don't. You look much younger, and I know you are. And the fun part is that the stuff that you covered is a lot of things. In really, you made it sound so quickly, like nothing, and it's just a brief, but it's a lot of work, a lot of diversity in your expertise and knowledge.
Yeah, you keep evolving, right? You're on the edge of medicine when you talk anti-aging, and then suddenly everybody starts talking about stem cells. So now we got to learn everything about regenerative medicine. Now biohacking or reversing biological age with telomeres and this and that and that, that's the latest. So then you got to educate yourself again to stay on the forefront of what's available to not just the elite, but to the common people, and help them, be better, be the best they can be.
That's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to just unpack all that stuff that you've covered in I don't know, 30 years plus. Well, first thing I want to say, I mean, your story, the start point, right, in itself is amazing, right? You got into a passion, and you were part of the team. You came here, and you were given an opportunity to come to the States, and you did that. And that's in itself, a success piece of it. As a younger person, just getting into the business, right, of physical therapy and things like that. And by the way, physical therapy has a great position, and there's a need for it, in everyday's life. And believe it or not, there's more to it than people think. And I've had so many shows about it, where we go even deeper than what the standard physical therapy, I guess definition is.
Yes.
And then, but you took it, like you said, to the next age, the next generation, the next, innovative stuff, and cutting edge up. And now you're in biohacking, and we're going to talk about biohacking because it's a term we hear a lot more. And I think you defined it to a degree, but we want to just expand on that and how it all works, to your point, to the common folk, because sounds good, like biohacking, like we're hacking our biology. I mean, I can see that, but like how and all that stuff. So I think that would be an interesting, piece of the discussion. So I want to go back just to some of the basics, right? The homeopathy and just if you can just define it to our audiences, because I don't know if everybody's clear about what that is. Because when I hear Oriental medicine, homeopathy, to me sometimes I don't know if there's a difference. There's got to be a difference, but I don't know what it is. Just as an example.
Yeah, I don't practice it anymore. But of course, Chinese herbal medicine, these are all your herbs, your Chinese herbs. We like in America, we like supplements where we, put certain ingredients into a capsule or into a tablet and swallow it. And I mean, supplements, there's a need for it. We can talk about that too. And then you have, the Chinese herbal medicine. So that's your whole encyclopedia of herbs, and plants and things like that. And then homeopathy, basically, it's not the same. It's not a plant or a herb. It's introducing something into your body that's gonna trigger your body to respond to it, right? I don't want to talk about vaccines because I'm 100%, anti-vaccine for many reasons, but homeopathy has a similar kind of way of doing things. It introduces something to your body, so now the body has to react to it, and that's kind of homeopathy. But I think none of those disciplines by itself are magic or can solve a problem. Some people respond well to one modality and not to another modality. So some people love acupuncture and it helps them, and others it doesn't do anything. And it's kind of with every one of those things. So those are modalities that could be beneficial, especially because they're not harmful. But when we look at at health and optimizing health, we got to look at the big picture. We got to look at ourselves as a whole, right? And so from that point of view, we got to look at, what's going into our body, right? And so that's where health starts. It doesn't start with supplements or herbal supplements or homeopathy. Those could all be helpful tools in certain situations, as long as you know when to apply those tools.
All right. Well, that clarifies a lot for us. At least, it's as basic as it sounds, but it's really simple as that. I mean, it's understanding the logic behind it, right? Now you led stem cell. You said you were the CEO of a stem cell company. Mm-hmm. Can you just enlighten us about that a little bit? Again, for the audiences, some people may be not too clear about STEM research and STEM therapy and innovation in STEM, I guess science, right? So if we can just spend a little bit of time on that.
Yeah. I can talk a whole hour about stem cells with no problem. I have a book on stem cells. Later on, if people go to my website, I got a lot of podcasts, and two of them talk about stem cells for a whole hour. So if people are interested, can go there. But, according to science, stem cells is the medicine of the future because, a stem cell basically is a cell in our body that can promote other bioactive molecules to then repair any damaged tissue, but not just repair it, also renew it and re-engineer it. So right now it's often used for pain and orthopedic conditions like arthritis of the knee, rotator cuff tears, whatever you can think of is musculoskeletal. We can basically inject those stem cell products, and they will then basically not only repair it, but also renew and re-engineer it, so it's actually younger and stronger and more resilient to tissue than before you injured it, right? So it is anti-aging. It is reversing your biology. Of course, theoretically, that can also be done for organs and for organ systems and things like that. And, in the United States, many of the procedures are off-label, and that's because they work. But in other countries, for example, in Israel and in Korea, if somebody has a heart attack, they would take a piece of the healthy part of the heart, like a biopsy, and then add stems to it in a petri dish, inject it in the femoral artery, and then it goes straight back to the heart and it rebuilds a whole new heart. Those things are possible today. But in the United States, they try not to promote those things because actually it would be a solution for many problems we have. But it would basically not be good for the big pharma and the lobbyists and our politicians, right? But that's another topic, right? But stem cells are amazing in what they can do, and our body produces stem cells. But as we age, the quantity and quality of those stem cells drastically declines, and that's when our body doesn't repair itself anymore, right? So that's when we want them from birth tissue, because it's a discussion also, where do we get the stem cells from? Because a lot of conventional medicine doctors, like orthopedic surgeons, etc., they will tell their patients you need to get it from your own bone marrow, which is a painful procedure to extract those stem cells, or from your adipose tissue, which is basically a liposuction. And that's totally wrong and outdated. Because if your body stem cell could repair you, you wouldn't have to go get them and then relocate them somewhere else. Your body would actually repair it by itself, right? Because as we age, again, we don't have enough stem cells, and the quality of those stem cells is not great either. So the best sources of stem cells today come from birth tissue, which is placental tissue or amniotic tissue and amniotic fluid, and the umbilical cord, usually the Wharton's jelly. Because the Wharton's jelly has the highest bioavailable amount of stem cells, mesenchymal stem cells, and the placenta or amnion has all the components, the bioactive molecules, the collagen types 1, 2, 3, etc., the hyaluronic acid, and the all kinds of other things like exosomes that the stem cells will need to get the job done and repair that tissue. So, that's the first piece of information I can share is, if you go get stem cell therapy, make sure you get birth tissue such as umbilical cord and placenta, because those components will work much better than trying to use your own stem cells.
The whole discussion about stem cells can be a little touchy because of the fetus and the source.
Well, that's actually a misconception, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there's so many things we can talk about just on stem cells. But so you're talking about embryonic stem cells before birth coming from the aborted fetus, right?
Yep.
And so those stem cells, they have never been used for human application, because in studies, these stem cells are not fully developed, and therefore they cause teratomas, which is a fancy word for cancer in the body. So these stem cells have never been used for human application. They are used for research, right? So when they get the aborted fetus, they do get stem cells, but it's only used for research. It's not used to treat patients, never have been and never will be, just because it's too dangerous. It will cause some cancer. So when we're talking about, stem cells, we need to understand, or people need to understand, we're not using any aborted fetus or embryonic cells. The only tissue that's used in stem cell therapy is from the birth tissue. Normally, when a mother gives birth, the umbilical cord and the placenta are what? They're simply disposed of. But now we're going to keep that tissue. We're going to test it thoroughly. And if it's safe to use, now we're going to, make tissue products out of that to help people, in the regenerative medicine area. So it is 100% safe. And there's no moral or ethical issues with the stem cell products that are on the market today, because they are birth tissue. They are not embryonic tissue.
And doctor, thank you so much. I purposely asked that question because I know it's controversial.
Yeah.
And, there's so much, I guess, lobbying against this and stuff, and the research because of the fetus and, on the embryonic stuff. But you're right.
Yeah. And think about what I said earlier, is I always look at Mother Nature. What does a mother, after she gives birth, what does she eat? Instantly, the placenta. Why? Because the placenta contains what? The stem cells and all the components necessary to repair that mother and heal the trauma that was done because of giving birth. That's Mother Nature. We don't need our placenta, but what Mother Nature is telling us, if you need to repair your tissue, use stem cells and use it from birth tissue, because that's the highest potency.
Well, it's amazing that I love what you explained that, clearly. And I think for our audiences, it cannot be even, a doubt now that we know the difference, but also the concept in nature, as you said, is natural and it works, and you have these animals that are doing it and they keep healthy and they keep giving birth. It's
Mother Nature's instinct. There's no propaganda. There's no benefits. There's no financial benefits. There's nothing. It's Mother Nature. It's healing.
Well, it's amazing because when you said it, you said it, everybody delivers a placenta, and when we give humans, we give birth, it's discarded of, right? And yet it could be just literally harvest right there and utilize for the betterment of humanity.
And that's what's happening. So
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, you guys are at that level where you are taking advantage of something that's already readily available and
Yes.
taking it and helping it. And you're right. I mean, I know that there's been studies about leukemia and other things, and the use of this the stem cells. By the way, when I first introduced the idea, I said STEM. We're not talking math and science here. We're talking,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other the stem cells research, and that. So I forgot to say cell, but you clarified. You got me.
It's all
uh,
good.
because we do have other shows that we talk about STEM, the other STEM, but the concept is really important, for the work that you do and helping people. Now that takes us to Clary, Gen Z. Let's talk about that, because I know there's a lot of work that they do that you work with in terms of focus and supplements. If I'm not getting wrong about that, I think I'm
No,
getting.
no, no. I do a lot. Actually, it all started during COVID. I was starting to write a book called Protein Paradox. And suddenly a colleague of mine asked me to help out doing pre-screening calls for medical marijuana because they were short-handed. So I said, sure. So I started doing those calls. And to my astonishment, I was amazed on how many people, and I probably talked to almost 100 per day, on how many people are suffering with anxiety, depression, ADHD, worry, fear, uncertainty. And yes, there's therapies and drugs and even nootropics out there. But what I really found, that there was an underlying cause that was not addressed. And that was that most of those people did not have a purpose in life. So just imagine that you're going through life every day, being bombarded with 14,000 digital messages per day, which our brain cannot organize that chaos. And then we work for a boss and he throws extra work at us. We got to rush home. We got to get the kids to soccer. And then the wife wants something. And we're trying to always catch up and it never happens. And then we got a financial situation that's probably not the good. So we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know what next week or next month or next year brings. So if you're in that situation, of course, you're going to be worried. Of course, you're going to have fear because there's this uncertainty about your life and everything that's happening. And that translates in anxiety, depression, and all those mental illnesses and conditions. So that's when I stopped writing that book on proteins. And I started to write my latest book, which is called The IZOT Method, In the Zone on Demand, Unleashing Your Superpower. And so I developed a method in which I bring people all the way from where they are stressed and worried and anxiety and depression all the way to being superhuman. And there's basically three phases. Phase number one is you're not living your purpose and you're just going with the motions, because when we're born, the first thing that happens is we're pushed in a certain direction. We got to go to school, then we got to go to college, and we graduate. We got to work for somebody else till we're 65, and then there's the golden years, and we can buy an RV, which usually never happens, right? Or our parents or teachers push in a certain direction, because if dad's a lawyer, guess what? He wants you to go to law school. If mom's a doctor, they want you to go to med school, but nobody's asking you what you want, and you're not even asking yourself. So I tell people, stop. And I explore with them their superpowers, or what is it that they dream about, passionate about. And even if you're 40, 50, 60 years old, it's never too late to live your dream and live your purpose. So I do certain exercises and ask certain questions to figure out what their purpose is. And then the next step is we need to regain control of our life. And that's where we're going to talk about this focus and stuff like that. Because again, most of us are in a dopamine overload, right? There's 5 intelligence hormones: dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, acetylcholine, and serotonin. And when they are in balance and in optimal range, that's when we're in the zone. That's when we win. That's when we produce. That's when nobody can stop us. That's when there's no distractions. And most of us think it's just for athletes or musicians. But no, anybody can get into the zone on demand. And so that's why I developed this method, so you can get in the zone on demand. But first, we need to get purpose, because why get into zone if you don't have a purpose? You don't have goals if you don't have dreams, right? And once we have that purpose, now we got to regain control over what? Over our agenda, our calendar. We need to know what happens tomorrow, next week, next month. We got to set a plan, a strategy. We got to surround ourselves with a team of experts, because you need to keep working on your strengths, but we need to surround ourselves with people that are strong where you are weak, so we can reach our highest potential. And then we're going to really get organized, almost script our life, because Control creates clarity, and clarity omits stress. So just by identifying purpose and starting to take control of our own life, most of the time, that anxiety, that depression, that worry, that uncertainty just disappears without medicine, without a psychologist, without medical marijuana, because we're in control of our life. So there's no need to be stressed. We know exactly where we're going, what we're going to do, and when we're going to achieve our dreams. So step number one, purpose and regaining control of our life. And that's where the focus comes in. Now, when it comes to focus and productivity, again, I mentioned dopamine overload. Where does the dopamine? The dopamine, for those who don't know, is the reward hormone. It feels good. It's like getting a pat on the back. So usually that's bad food, sugary drinks, energy drinks, coffee, but also social media now, because when somebody hearts your Instagram or likes your comments, it feels good. So we're seeking, unconsciously most of the time, we're seeking more of it because it's a dopamine squirt. So now we're in a dopamine overload, too much dopamine compared to the other intelligence hormones, which results in what? Brain fog, lack of focus, fatigue, procrastination, fidgeting, not getting the job done, being lazy, etc. Right? So first, we need to get out of that brain fog. We need to lower that dopamine by upgrading your diet, stopping all the silly energy drinks and coffee, and taking control over social media, not being sidetracked by BS, right? Just use it when you need to use it to your advantage to fit your goals and dreams, but otherwise, there's no use for it. And so by implementing strategies on focus and productivity, there's many of them. I could share many of them with you, but sometimes nootropics, which are natural smart drugs, basically smart drugs such as Adderall, Wellbutrin, Ritalin, I cannot recommend because they're drugs and they have side effects and are not good in the long term. However, they work for people. But to any drug, there's always a safe, natural component or alternative. And so nootropics are basically smart drugs, supplements that enhance your memory, that will help with focus and those types of things without having the jittery effects or the side effects such as Adderall. And so 2 years ago, I came across Focus Plus, which was put together by Clarigen Z. And that is again, a nootropic with 4 natural ingredients. Number one, biocitroid, which is a terpene, a patented terpene from a specific type of blood orange from the southeast region of Asia. And so at 30 milligrams or higher, this terpene is able to pass the blood-brain barrier. So it works within 30 minutes. While most supplements take months and months to accumulate in your body before you may feel an effect, this works within 30 to 40 minutes. And then we added 3 components to the biocitroid, L-tyrosine, an amino acid that helps with memory and focus, phenylalanine, which is a neuroagent, which again helps with memory, clarity, creativity, those types of things. And then the last one, to me, the most important one, phosphatidyl, because phosphatidyl stimulates NGF, nerve growth factor. So it helps the new formation of brain cell, and it helps with neurotransmission in the brain. So those are 4 natural ingredients, no jittery effects, no side effects, that do what? That optimize and balance those 5 intelligence hormones and help you focus better, getting into that zone. So it's a facilitator without any side effects. For the listeners that want to try a sample, go to trysmartpill.com and you can try it, because it doesn't work for everybody.
Wow. Oh, Doc, you, I think you covered so much stuff in the last 5 minutes. I just want to break it down slowly for folks. One is you've kind of even dove into the biohacking already, and really it's amazing how you connected our social life and behavior from the birth really to where we are today, and how it impacts everything else. And I think that's an area that most of people are almost unaware of, that they're actually doing that. Because to your point, by nature, by default, you are born and raised in a format that is designed to do X, Y, Z. To your point, by your parents pushing you to do whatever they want you to do. The school system that is designed to have you, boom, step 1, do this, get to school, get to work for somebody, nice career path, boom, and then retire at 65. To your point, golden age, and let's get an RV. And you know what? Many people don't get to see the RV and to do that because they don't have
They
the
don't
health
get
to do that or the
yeah.
money.
Mhm.
Because to have an RV, RVs are expensive. Even you get a cheap one, you got to run it and you got to run,
You
take it to
can't trade it
places.
for that golden watch you get.
Yeah, I mean, again, by the way, there's nothing wrong with the RVs. I love RVs. If you can have one and take it on the road, that's great. But the idea is that if you work, there's a good chance you're going to be on a pension and maybe some savings, and that's not going to get you enough money to do all that good stuff that you want to do. You're not living your life, and we can talk about that as well. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, yeah, and it's not even about the money and what you can do. It's about fulfillment in life. If it's about getting up in the morning and feeling passion and fire and being ready to do something to contribute to the world. Because the world needs all of our superpowers right now. And most people don't even know what their superpower is. And most of us that do know are barely tapping into it. And so people like myself, I help people not only find it, but unleash it. And so it's not about going through the motions. It's really about, let's stop right here. And what is it that you want? What are your strengths? How can your superpowers be revealed, and how can you contribute to the world? And many times people say, oh no, I always wanted to be a doctor. And I said, okay, let's see if that's true. Here's one question. When you wake up in the morning, what goes through your mind? Are you thinking to yourself, I have to get up, I have to go to work, I have to do this, and I have to do this? Or are you thinking to yourself, I get to get up, I can't wait to get up, I get to do this, I get to do this, I get to do the gym, and I get to do this? Which one is it? And so in 99% of the cases, it's the first one, right? Which means you're not living your dream, you're not living your purpose, you don't want to get up in the morning. If you were living your dream, you can't wait to get up. You can't wait to get things done. You can't wait to take that next incremental step that brings you just a little bit closer to that dream and that goal and that success and the person that you want to be. So that's where I usually get most people interested in. Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. Yes, I am right. So now let's find what their purpose is. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the
It's
introduction.
fulfillment. Yeah.
I love that because you're right. And I've had many shows, and I personally talk about inspiration, motivation, about the same thing. The idea is that we live a life that is not ours for the most part. It's designed or basically being promoted in such way, marketing and other things that make you do certain things.
Yeah.
And now more than ever, the social media and the influencing and all that. So it's happening. But you're right. It's been designed that way. And actually, many people go to school, they go to a degree, and then they wind up doing a different job. They're not happy, they're miserable. They actually go in, oh my God, it's Monday, TGIF. I always say now, if we don't have a TGIM, then we have a problem.
Yes. Well, that's another great one to ask. Yeah, that's another good one.
If your Monday sucks, there's something wrong, right?
Yeah, there's something wrong.
You want to get up every day. It's a sweet day, and I'm having a good time. And that takes a lot, to your point, it takes a lot of personality adjustments and having purpose of life, as you said. The goals. It's all about goals in life. Dream. I always say this: you're gonna dream so big that you can scare yourself. And set up the strategy.
And that's why people don't pursue their dreams, right? Because they have these false core beliefs, and that's why mindset is so important. Because when I have a mentee, we find the purpose, and I see the fire. We found it, and then the first objection, you already can guess it. It's like, well, you're right, Dr. Mike, that's my person, but I have a family, I've built to pay, and I have a job. So no, but thank you. And I say, oh, wait a minute. I said, I'm not asking you to quit your job and leave your family. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to free up 1 hour per day, 1 hour per day. And usually I find 3 hours that they're wasting, but we only got to find 1 hour per day where you're wasting your time watching Netflix or on social media, or you had 2 meetings of an hour each, and you could easily have made the decision in 15 minutes, but you decided to make it an hour long. So let's free up 1 hour a day, and we're going to work on your dream 1 hour a day and slowly transition into it. There's no need to be drastic and and quit your job. And we're going to assemble the team of experts. We're going to set your goal. We're going to make a plan. We're going to identify your strengths, and we're just going to keep moving forward. But that all has to do with mindset, right? Because you said it. If your dream's scary, if your big dream is scary, that's good, because if it's not scary, it's not big enough, right? But then we got to be realistic. Okay, that's our dream. We don't have to realize a dream tomorrow. We got to get a plan and a strategy and a team and take daily incremental steps. And it's amazing on how quickly you evolve by taking a little step each day, right? And then those incremental steps become a fulfillment. Like, I did it. Okay. And that's why it's important to have a coach like me or other people, because we keep those people accountable every single week, making sure they are making strides toward their goals and their dreams. And then there's the concept of the comfort zone, right? Because people are comfortable where they are. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. They're living their life. They're paying their bills. They're having a family. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're not fulfilled. And so they're in their safety or comfort zone. So I have to educate people about what the comfort zone is, right? And so getting out of the comfort zone to grow and to realize your dreams, you need to keep growing, right? So when you leave the comfort zone, you get into the fear zone. And from the fear zone, you get into the learning zone where you need to learn new skills. And then you enter the growth zone. But then after a while, the growth zone becomes what? Your next comfort zone. So you got to leave it again, right? But you need to prepare people that when they leave the comfort zone or they go home with a certain idea or they want to transition into a new career or something else, I prepare them and I say, look, all your friends, your wife, your family, people dear to you, they're going to tell you you're crazy, you're not going to make it. They're going to talk you out of it, or they're going to just say you're crazy. And I said, that's normal because you are part of their comfort zone and they don't want you to leave it because it disrupts their comfort zone. They're not malicious. They would support you if you leave, but they want you in their comfort zone. And as long as you prepared for what people are going to say and you know how you're going to react to it because it's part of a normal process and you have a coach or a mentor, then we can get out of that comfort zone. But there has to be a reason to get out of the comfort zone. It's your purpose. And once you have purpose, you need to change your mindset and then you need to take action, right? Purpose, mindset, action. Yeah.
I love it. And by the way, that whole thing about comfort zone, I say this all the time. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is
Yes.
the dynamic. And if you can get there, you're a good place. Is it easy? It's not easy, guys. I mean, I can tell you, you're talking about this concept. I'm a living proof of that concept where I've been transiting from my 30 years career almost, which is I'm still attached to my health and fitness and all the stuff that I've been doing and the healthcare industry. But I've got into this world of media and this was my dream and I'm building it. And it went from an idea to where it is today. It's going into a network, and every day we come up with new things and just growing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm proud of it. Now, is it scary? Is it hard? Is it a lot of work? You said it. People have a problem like, oh, I don't have the time. People tell me like, how do you do all these things and still work and do all this stuff? Guess what? There is a will, there's a way, and there's plenty of time. You're right. I could be watching Netflix, or I can be in my studio doing this.
Yeah,
or
and living your
things.
dream. It's your choice.
For now, I'm building, and this is just a live example, folks. This is not about me doing a promotion here. It's really about I'm just an example, just like you guys. I do have bills. I have a family, and you know what? You also have to take your family with you in that journey. You got to stop buying into the concept. Sometimes you're doing it without their buy-in, and you basically are disconnecting. And that's when, to your point, there's that.
Plus, you're showing them and educating them and setting them up for success too.
That's right. I mean, when you succeed and it happens, like, damn, and that's the thing. And by the way, this doesn't happen if you don't believe in yourself and your dreams and your values and whatever that takes. And know that the journey is going to be hard. And you're right. It's not transiting overnight. Poof, it's done. You got to do almost like you take one in and you take the other one out while you're working. And as you do this balance, the rest is history. It's happening, folks. It's happening to me. It's been happening, and it will happen to you if you do it right. I love what you said about the capacity in the brain, how we kind of use everything correctly. I was thinking about the movie Lucy. I don't know if you've seen that movie Lucy.
I don't watch much movies.
No, this was an interesting movie about similar concept where the brain used was Morgan Freeman, and so 10% of the brain, 20%, 30%, and when you get to 100%, what happens? I mean, at 10%, it's already amazing what we can do. We're not even
crazy,
using
right? Yeah, and they're Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please. No, please.
So therefore, mindset is, when I have mentees, mindset comes in the beginning because they already start immediately with objections or I can't. So we got to immediately change that, eliminating far course beliefs, but mostly work on their belief system. Because if you if you have doubt about realizing your goals and your dreams, then the universe has two options, right? Success and failure. If you have no doubt about you reaching your goals and your dreams, then the universe only has one option, and that's a big win, right? So we certainly need to work on that belief system. And today, as you said, it's much easier than 20 years ago when I was a competitive swimmer and somebody told me, you got to meditate, you got to do this. I tried. But if you try a few times and you can't empty your mind, you give up because if you don't get the benefit. But today, we have all these technologies and strategies available for you to even get into a different brainwave or into a different zone just in one session. And once you experience a change or something positive, you obviously want to explore more. So today, we can use visualization, manifestation, breath work. That's something that works very well for me, because if I really concentrate on my breath, it empties my mind of everything else and I get to in a different state, right? State of mind. And so all these technologies, such like brain tap, is something that I use at night as part of my evening power routine. All those things allow you to accelerate exploring that brain, managing it, controlling your emotions and feelings, and being in control of your mind, but also in control of your destiny. It's your blueprint of what's coming. And if you don't doubt that blueprint, it's going to be exactly the way you imagined it. And you already can feel it today, even though the reality may be a few years ahead. And that's where everybody needs to strive for,
I love that brain tapping thing.
Yeah, you have one?
I got a few things. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
I live exactly what you said. It's all about mindset. It's about looking at the positive. You got to be focused. You do have a plan. I can see myself in the 3-year mark, the 4-year mark, the 5-year mark, whatever I'm doing. And you're right. It's a marathon, and you have to continue with it. And no matter what, you're gonna get step backs. And you're gonna get some what do you call it, obstacles, and different things that are gonna be thrown at you in life. To your point, distractions. You can work around them. It's okay. The key is to understand how to move from one step to the other and not give up. You're right. I mean, you mentioned something funny about social media. Social media is like a big supermarket of food, right? And there's some healthy stuff and there's some bad stuff. You just have to go to the healthy stuff, and there is plenty of good healthy stuff there.
You got to ask yourself, what part of social media can further my dreams and my goals, and everything else is useless and a waste of time?
There is, and it's just, the fun part is that the founder said, I don't know, if you think about it, you see more. Let's say you talked about love and hearts and likes. You see more likes when it's not very productive, and you don't see as many in the productive world. It's sad to see that, but that's the reality that we live. People are, to your point, they're just comfortable with the easy because it just distracts enough, as opposed to this is like feeding me. This is like,
It's a feel-good thing, but it's nothing productive, right? So
no, but you could literally, you can feed.
Of course, I mean,
good.
it's if you're in marketing or any business, if you know how to take advantage of social media, then it's part of your being productive during the day, but it has a purpose, and it's only at your service, not at somebody else's service. And it's your valuable time. You're not gonna respond to things just because you think you're right and you have another opinion. If that topic doesn't contribute to your goals and dreams, why even waste your time? Just keep scrolling, right?
I love it. I mean, I hope that, and that's the thing. I mean, this is a show, right? And this is probably, I'm not boosting the show here. If you listen to this, there's got to be a lot of stuff here that you can take on the road to the bank, or you can connect, let's say, with Dr. Van Thielen here, and he can even help you further. You can check out the Clarigen Z and get your supplements that are going to get you to the next level. There's so much stuff, but again, you have to click on it, listen to it, and spend some time and get that feed from it, as opposed to, no, I'd rather just distract my mind with something that is fluff. And people are, there's plenty of people that talk any type of talk in any type of social media. Sometimes they just talk about other people. To your point, what's the point? It's gossiping, one-on-one, and you get millions of views on those things because people they like that.
Entertainment. It's entertainment.
And by the way, listen, to each his own, as I say, right? Why people are doing this, some others are doing the other, and they're actually, going like light speed compared to those. And then what you're going to see is like, what the hell happened? Now it's like, you're like 100 years ahead of, some of, those balances here. It's how you want it, folks. I mean, at the end of the day, the mindset is everything, right? You need to see where you're going to be. And I love what you said. I mean, you break it down for me. We talked about like the nutrition piece of it, right? And it's all connected. Your mind, your behavior, your environment, everything that you have that in your daily, life can contribute. And obviously what you put in your body, as you said.
Well, that's your fuel, right? So your brain needs that healthy fuel. And if you put bad fuel in, you're not going to perform as well. It's that simple, right?
It is. Well, again, imagine you put diesel in and let it destroy your car, or you just put some bad, gas. And this happened to me one time. I put bad gas and
Yeah,
on
then you know
halfway
what
road.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, the car sucked, like it was like not happening. So it, by mistake somebody did something, right? But the fact of the matter, folks, is whatever a doctor is stating here is really tangible. It's real. It's effective. It's working, and people are tapping into this. People are doing this, and by the way, if you read any of those or watch any of those shows and things like that about billionaires and like success stories, or like the top success people in the world, they all have similarities. And the similarities, you said, they do have goals, they have strategy, they have plans, they do have a different entourage, they absorb things, they read things. It's all the above. They do work out, they do eat correctly, all the stuff that's good for you.
They are consistent and persistent. They want it bad enough, whatever that is. And obstacles are not obstacles anymore. They become opportunities. They become stepping stones. So you're gonna attack them. I always say it's like watching the Olympic Games, the 110-meter hurdles, or for the women it's 100 meters, right? But they have a whole team around them, right? They got a running coach. They got a track and field coach, they got a strength coach, they got a nutritionist, they got their family to support, and who else, whatever else. So there's that team, and they have been working for 4, 8, 12 years to get to the Olympic Games, and you have a gold. It's a world record. It's a gold medal. And there's those 10 hurdles. But it doesn't matter because they are prepared. They know what they want. They know where the finish line is. It's not a mystery where it is. So they're attacking those obstacles. It's just a step closer, and that's why it's not... Nobody looks at them as obstacles. They're stepping stones. And so when you have your purpose and your plan and your team, there are no obstacles. There's just steps closer. They're opportunities.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they are.
And it's mindset, right? It's mindset.
It's how you choose to look at it. I mean, at anything that's been thrown at you, you can either use it, right, or just cry about it. That's all. And you said it well earlier. You said it's either I win and it's a win, or I learn.
I never lose. No,
exactly. And that's exactly what it is. It's a learning up. It's another way to learn how not to do it or do it better. That's it. Yeah. And again, it's really just rephrasing it, and your mind will take it as rephrased, because that's the thing. Words are power. Words actually, we talk about, I think Bruce Lee said it, you say words, they actually contribute to your self-conscious, and your body is going to react to them. If you say, I am not good, you're going to think that you're not good. If you say, I'm great, you're going to believe that you're great, even if people say no. And that's the other thing. People sometimes spend a lot of times worrying about what other people think. It's unfortunate. Yes. It's unfortunate, but you're right. It's the only person in this journey is you and your immediate family, and whoever, as I always give this analogy, we can all be in the same, bullet train. The difference is we can be sleeping on a train, on the bathroom, in a bar in the train, having a nice discussion in a restaurant, watching a movie, doing whatever in the train, but we're still going at the nice 200, 300, miles an hour. Yeah. As opposed to, if you don't hop on that train, you actually left at the station. Bye-bye, sayonara train.
Yeah.
And that's really the concept. Get on the train and then let's take you there. And you, the helm, you're at the helm, you're leading. As well, you got to lead yourself and lead your entourage correctly.
Your loved ones,
and anyone that doesn't want to subscribe, I mean, unfortunately, they're just going to be left behind. And so it is a decision. It is difficult. Now let's, again, I love this because you said it, we're talking about the status, the mind, and this is the biohacking piece, but the food part of it, the nutrition part of it, I think we're destroying ourselves, to your point, with the sugars. I mean, there's the sugar is like your worst enemy. Talking about like those feel happy, chemicals that are being triggered by all these things. What's some of the advice that you would tell our audiences based on good nutrition and maybe in combination with, let's say, Clarigen G, Clarigen G. Hold on.
Yeah, the Focus Plus. Well, that's just an amino acid and some things that may facilitate you getting into zone or focus better, especially if you have trouble focusing or if you're ADHD and those types of things. Give it a try. But when it comes to nutrition, I mean, There's so much to talk about, but to keep it simple, I think that people need to understand that there's only one cause of all disease, and it's called toxemia. Toxemia literally means toxins in the blood. But in a little bit more depth, toxemia really means that as part of living, as part of normal metabolism, we obviously produce waste and toxins. But in a normal, healthy organism, those toxins are eliminated by our body, our bowels, our kidneys, our skin, etc. So no harm is done. However, if we are exposed to or ingest far more toxins than the body possibly can eliminate, then there's an accumulation of toxins in the blood and the body, and that's what we call toxemia. Now, these toxins do two things in our body. Number one, they steal electrons from healthy atoms that then become unstable, which we call what? Free radicals, which cause exponential damage on a cellular level. So free radical oxidative stress, right? And they also cause what we call systemic inflammation. And even according to conventional medicine, systemic inflammation is the cause of 90+% of all disease. It's the cause of all disease, periodly. But what is systemic inflammation? It basically means those toxins are floating around. We can't eliminate them because there's too many. So there's a state of emergency, right? And so the body always got to attend to that state of emergency and try to neutralize those toxins. And that's when we have systemic inflammation in our body, we gain weight and our immune system goes down because the body cannot attend to the tasks, the important things that need to be done because there's an emergency, and this emergency is there all the time. It's called systemic inflammation, which then results in obesity, disease, cancer. Anything comes from systemic inflammation, right? So that's toxemia. Now, what do we do theoretically? Very simply, to be in optimal health and don't get any disease. We need to keep toxemia in check, right? We need to control toxemia. How do we do that? Well, two things. Number one, we need to reduce the exposure and the intake of toxins and simultaneously increase the nutrients that fight free radical damage, fight systemic inflammation, and repair our DNA, right? So if we do that, we'll never get sick, we'll never get overweight, and our body functions optimally. So, so what I'm trying to say is, yes, nutrition is important because it's the things we put in our body, and we got to make sure there's no toxins. So all man-made foods and drinks are full of colorings, preservatives, gluten, GMOs, and you keep going on the list. And so they add to toxemia. We want to avoid those. So what do we need to eat? Obviously, organic, wholesome foods. And even high quality supplements and hydrogen water and those types of things, the good stuff without the toxins, but there's other things that contribute to toxins. I said exposure. So we're talking about environmental toxins, the cleaning products, the beauty products in your house, the electromagnetic frequencies and radiation from your wireless devices, your cell phones, your smart appliances, the chlorine fumes from your shower, the exhaust fumes from your car, all those types of things contribute to what? Toxemia. So we need to do everything we can to mitigate and reduce the exposure and the ingestion. And I have a few books, one called EMR, The Invisible Threat, Electromagnetic Radiation, that will give you 1,000 free tips on how to do that. And then the latest book, The iHealth Method, Unleash Your Superpower, will talk about what do we do, or what do we eat, or what do we supplement to, neutralize free radicals, reduce systemic inflammation, and repair our DNA. And it goes into a lot more detail, just antioxidants, because there's a lot more recent research that shows we can exponentially increase our antioxidant activity in our body without taking more antioxidants, and how to repair our DNA. So it's a simple concept, and if we keep working on this, then we will be great and not exposed to any disease.
That would be an ideal world, right? In terms of exposure.
It's not that difficult.
No. For us, we have to do the work, but yeah. Unfortunately, you live in a world that has plenty of that. So that means you have to almost highlight yourself in a way. Yes. Your lifestyle has to be completely different.
We don't live in pristine areas anymore, and we're just an organic system here, and we're exposed to this. Like you said, the 5G towers and stuff that are coming now, our body is not capable of protecting itself from it. So if we want to live in, if we want to benefit from all this convenience of the technology, that's great. But then we got to also be aware of the health hazards and do whatever we can inside and outside of our house to mitigate as much as we can. And we can't mitigate all of it. But that's when the next time comes in. And that's what I teach in my book too, is there will be DNA damage. So how do we repair it? So first of all, we're going to mitigate as much as we can. And then the damage that is done by the things that we couldn't mitigate, how do we repair it? And that's where biohacking comes in. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I mean, that's plenty of power there. But I tell you, like, talking about EMFs, I mean, you're right. I actually bought the machine and I've tested some appliances in the house.
Meter, yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Your basic stuff that you don't think has plenty. Light bulbs, outlets, coffee machine, microwave, forget about it. I mean, your alarm system has plenty. I mean, it's like, it's everywhere.
Everything. Your water meter outside, everything's smart, and it's not good. But what it does is all this radiation is absorbed by the body, and we need to get it out of the body. So that's where grounding comes in, right? That's where when you make yourself one with Mother Earth by walking on bare feet outside on the beach or swimming in the lake or a stream, when you're one with Mother Earth, you basically discharge all that negative energy and radiation back into Mother Earth, back into the ground. But we're all busy, so we don't go to the beach, we don't swim in a river or a stream or a lake, and we don't walk outside. We could simply do it in our own backyard, barefoot. That would be great. But most of us don't have the time. So again, now we got to look at technology. So for example, and this is one of the many examples, I've been sleeping for almost 4 years on what's called the anti-aging bed cover. It's a silver nano technology. It's a bed cover. I put it over my bed cover, but I plug it in. So now, I'm one with Mother Earth. And during the 7-8 hours I sleep, I'm healing. I'm discharging all that negative energy. And I'm fed negative ions, which do what? Neutralize free radicals. It soothes inflammation. So while I'm sleeping, I'm biohacking. I'm healing. I'm getting rid of all this radiation simply by sleeping. So there's some great technology out there.
Oh, well, I think everybody's going to be buying the blanket right now. Is there one that you would recommend by any chance?
Yeah, if you, I'll share my website here with you guys, but I don't have my own products or anything like that, but everything that I use and everything that works for me is listed on my website. And, when you go to my website, to the anti-aging bed cover and you buy one, there's a discount because you went through my website and those types of things. So, but it's only one page and it's all the things that I use or several of the things that I think work very well. And so they're all listed on my website, so you can go check it out.
Listen, anti-aging is everybody's dream, right? So all these things are going to help, not age, but they help you reduce the aging process.
What it's, and that's a good thing you said, because our chronological age is what it is, but that's not important. It's our biological age. We want to increase our lifespan. And people always ask me, what do you think is realistic? Because, in the 2011 February cover of Time magazine, it said in big letters 2045, which would be the year of singularity, which basically means we become ageless, we can live on. But then when you look at the article, it says that we all could live to be 142 years old. That's what he said. By 2045, we can live to be 142. So where are we now? I believe that today, if you take advantage of all the strategies and technologies that are out there right now for the average person like you and me, I believe that that 100 can be the new 30, which means is I'll be 100 years old, but biologically, I can do what a 30-year-old. I can go skiing, I can go hiking, and I can go traveling when I'm 100 years old. And I think that today, that is realistic if we take advantage of these technologies. So you and me will be there, and everybody else wants to come along.
Well, we want everybody that's watching this show to be part of this nice train, and let's go together on a nice journey and hit the 100. But really, Doc, it's amazing because listening to you would think that the world would buy into this concept easily. Yet you will find so much anti-this in a way. It's almost like, people don't want this part of it, or maybe there's almost a plot against, you being this healthy.
There's Yes, and I'm not a health freak. It's one of the chapters in many of my books. I do it in my talks too. You do not have to be a health freak to be in optimal health. See, as long as you give your body all the essential nutrients, like I just said, that it needs, it's okay to eat a taco on Tuesday and a pizza on Friday and have a beer. It's okay because, all those trillions of cells and those trillions of chemical reactions that occur in our body every single second, as long as they get the nutrients they need to do what they need to do, you'll be in optimal health. And if you eat that taco, it doesn't matter because you'll burn it off, right? The problem is that if we only eat bad foods, then our cells are forced to use incompatible nutrients to repair, renew, and replenish themselves. So now it's like an incompatibility with car parts or computers. So now you have an original and you make a copy, and then you make a copy of a copy. And so eventually you can't read it anymore. And so that's degeneration and mutation, which is disease and cancer. So as long as you give your body all the nutrients that it needs on a daily basis, you can basically eat whatever you want.
Listen, but I love it because, again, you're simplifying for people, because it is difficult to think like, can I do this? Can I change it? And you break it down. Yes, I mean, you do have to adjust a few things and adapt to a new way of life, a new lifestyle, by eliminating some things and adding new things that are all beneficial to you. But that's a formula that's a win-win for everyone. Everyone
Yes,
wants to be.
It's another habit. It takes a little bit of time, and not long, 6 or 12 tries, 6 or 12 weeks to really change a bad into a good one. But people understand that those habits now become your addictions. That juice that you tweak, that you crave, is now a healthy thing, but you crave it. Feeling vital and strong after you're done with work versus like, oh my God, I gotta hang in the couch. That becomes an addiction, so these new habits, they're not burdens. They are an upgrade of life. You're sharper, you're faster, you perform better, you're more productive. You don't feel tired after work all the time. So those are upgrades that you don't want to lose anymore. It's like you're buying this bigger TV. Next year, you can't go back to a small TV.
That is true.
So it's about upgrading. The problem here is, Hurricane H, the problem here is that people are, this is the difference between, I think this is important. This is the difference between animals in the wild and humans. You know what the difference is? Awareness. See, animals in the wild, they don't have an awareness. They don't have the freedom to choose their response. They have an instinct, and they always act according to the laws of Mother Nature in their best interest, in the best interest of their species. That's why they are in perfect health. If you look at animals in the wild, have you ever seen a lion, a giraffe, an antelope, an eagle, a gazelle, a gorilla with COPD, Alzheimer's, COVID? Have you ever seen a fat one? No, it doesn't exist. Okay, but we have an awareness. That means we have the freedom to choose our response, and it's probably our greatest power. And according to the Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And so that's the problem here, because we have become slaves of making the wrong choices over and over again, which has put us in ill health, right? Because we are addicted to. We think that these short-term pleasures and indulgences, we cannot resist those for the major or the more important treasures of life, which is health, wealth, sharing your abundance, which means living for service. Those are the big treasures of life, right? Health, wealth, sharing your abundance, or living for service. But we trade those in for short-term pleasures and indulgences, right? And so when we create a little bit more self-control and self-discipline, we can rationally put those indulgences aside and focus on the real treasures of life. And I think that's where most people have trouble. They just want to party. They want to have fun. They want to live today. But if they just would look or walk into a hospital and look how many 50, 60-year-olds are laying there with heart attacks and COPD and ventilated and all. Why? Because they lived here like you lived. And now they're suffering for the last 20, 30 years, suffering. I don't know. That's just a bad trait.
Well, it is.
That's just not a good deal you made there.
You're right, and again, it's to your point. It's the quick satisfaction. That's what you want, but sometimes a longer life you can do a lot more, and a healthier life, more fulfilling one. You can do a lot. And by the way, this doesn't mean you don't vacation, enjoy life, do this
Of
stuff.
course not. I do all of
You
it.
want to have that exactly.
I have a beer too, but the fulfillment doesn't come from getting drunk or from doing drugs or, from just partying all the time. I do that too, but it's in moderation. But you gotta, on a daily basis. A lot of people live for that. They work and then they want to go have fun in the weekend, and they work and then they spend their money in the weekend, but they're not getting anywhere in life. They're forgetting the real treasures of life. We all want to have fun. We all want to enjoy life, but we have to have a purpose. We have to have a passion. We have to seek fulfillment. Otherwise, it's empty. And that drinking and partying eventually will end up in anxiety, depression, PTSD, and you name it.
I say this. They're what most people want, can't enjoy what most people want.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's a concept, right? It's you gotta dare do the different, the difficult, and then you're gonna have the fruits. It's like that's all there is, and you can dream big and work towards it and achieve it. And again, most entrepreneurs that succeed, they will probably work 1 or 2 years crazy, and they do all the stuff and they build and build, and they can relax and enjoy the life,
Yeah,
as opposed to
exactly.
having a good time every day, but then not even every day, because you'll be stressed anyways, because every week you'll be like, oh, same problem, life sucks, I can't do this, I don't like my boss, I don't like to do this, I haven't been around the world. I have met people that have not left the country. Met people that haven't even left their state.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's you have to visit the world, you have to do certain things. Now again, guys, as we talk on the show, these are some of our opinions and ideologies. But trust me, folks, when you try these things that we talk about, you will see what it means to you. You'll be like a whole. This is like, again, the Matrix: red pill, blue pill.
Yeah.
You get that pill, and you're like, whoo, you hooked. This is the real hookup, right? This is where you actually get the real
That's
excitement.
right.
It's different. Now, doctor, before I know we exceeded the hour, but there's one thing we didn't talk about. I mean, I think we alluded to it, but the fitness part of it. You talked about grounding and doing some walk and stuff. What is your take on fitness? Not, I mean, weight loss and stuff. Obviously, that's a different discussion. If we did everything right, the weight will be gone anyways. But is there
Yes.
any a recommendation in terms of the fitness part?
Yeah, I mean, weight loss, the weight gain is inflammation, right? So instead of focusing on losing weight and cutting calories and yo-yo diets that don't work, we need to get that inflammation under control. And once your inflammation is gone, and you can easily check it, you do a blood test and you measure CRP, C-reactive protein, and then you do everything to control your inflammation, get rid of your inflammation, which means is get rid of the risk to get any and all disease. And measure it again. And if your CRP drastically drops and it says there's no inflammation in your body, you're healthy. But then your body is no longer in a state of emergency, and your body automatically will do what? Will burn that fat, release the toxins, and get you to optimal weight. And that weight won't be regained because you did what you had to do, which is getting your body healthy. And then weight loss becomes an adverse reaction, becomes a side effect of you getting yourself in a healthier state. So that's weight loss. But when it comes to fitness, it depends what your life goals are. If you just want to be in optimal health, you do not have to play organized sports or go to a gym. But the key is a movement. We are designed to move. We're not designed to sit still. Our cardiovascular system and our lymphatic system, many times overlooked, is like a plumbing system. Lymphatic system is our immune system. It carries the white blood cells to fight pathogens, viruses, bacteria, you name it, right? So, but you got to think of it as a plumbing system. So if you sit still, it clogs up. If you don't drink enough water, it doesn't run and it clogs up also. So movement becomes important, and movement can be anything, can be walking, can be playing with the dog, can go dancing lessons, getting up from the chair and walking around. And then we can take it a step further, like vibration plates, mini trampolines and rebounding. Those things are all good to get that vibrational frequency going on a cellular level. So movement is the key word, I think, for optimal health. Now, when we're talking about athletes and performance, obviously, it's a whole different story, which I can talk about, because in 2019 I did swim a world record in my age group, and so I do know about performing at the highest level, and that's another story, because performing at the highest level is not healthy, because that's where we are accelerating aging. That's where we are breaking down a lot of muscle tissue, which we need to replace, and we are producing more free radicals than the average person. As long as we are aware of that as a top athlete, or a bodybuilder or a gym person, we need to compensate for that with more antioxidants and more strategies to compensate for that, and actively alternate that high intensity training with enough rest so the body can make the adaptations. So it's another story. It's a different story. It is not healthy to perform at a high level, but if you understand that, you can do extra measures to also counteract those effects of high intensity training.
All about balance, right?
Yes, always, right?
It's all about balance. Amazing.
Always. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because you and I you're talking more than I am, and you've given us a lot of good stuff. But when you think about it, right, you've used terminology that many people know about. We know about toxins, we know about, eating well, about doing movement, about this stuff, but we ignore these things sometimes. I think that's our problem in general. We get caught up in the mix of things, and sometimes we link one to the other. We should be doing all these things equally. Everything.
Yeah, and that's something a little bit, when people hear biohacking, they think it's this high-end thing that's not for them. And yes, there's hyperbaric oxygen chambers, and there's expensive equipment that we can utilize, but people don't realize that won't work for you if you're not in optimal health already. When it comes to biohacking your health, in my opinion, there's 3 phases. Number 1, you need to regain control of your health first, and that's where most people are, because most people are in pain, or they're diagnosed with some kind of a disease, or like you said, they're overweight. So the first step is regain control, get back to quote unquote normal, get rid of the pain, get rid of those medical conditions. Then once we're back to normal, step number 2, we need to optimize health. What does that mean? We need to feel strong and vital and energetic, and we need to be in control of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And only then, step number 3, is optimal health the foundation at which we can maximize the benefits of biohacking, upgrading, reversing our biological age. We can't skip those steps. So when people think biohacking, it's not necessarily about this technology or merging with becoming the next Terminator and getting implants. That's kind of the scary thing of biohacking that I'm not a proponent of, because that's about control and about globalism, which is another discussion. But what I do think is that we can upgrade without having to spend money. We can upgrade our diet. We can upgrade the air we breathe in. We can upgrade our water. We can upgrade movement. We can expose ourselves to sunlight. And so we can do all kinds of upgrades, which will help set a foundation for real biohacking. And without that foundation, your body's not going to respond to those expensive technologies anyways.
So I was just about to ask, but you used the word expensive. I think that's another thing. People think that biohacking is going to be costly, or making these
right.
The changes are.
It could save you money, actually,
on the healthcare, right?
Yeah, on healthcare for sure, but even short term, because I had the discussion earlier. It's like, how many times a day do we need to eat? Well, to me, there is no discussion. There's only one fact: you only should eat 1 meal a day. And I know in the gym you would say 3, 4, 5 times metabolism. Those are all ways to sell products, and it's this propaganda that's going around, and everybody's is looking at it. But again, go look at animals in the wild. How many times a day they eat? Once. Look at Moses, Jesus, the Romans, the Greeks. How many times a day did they eat? Once. What does our biology, meaning our physiology and our anatomy, tells us about our digestive system? It's designed to only, digest 1 meal per day, because a meal takes 4 to 6 hours to digest. So what I do is I juice during the day, and I take all these supplements to give my body all the essential nutrients we were talking about, and then I eat my meal, right? And so that way you don't overburden your system, you don't wear out your system, and those types of things. So there's many misconceptions out there, because the big TV box wants to think us that breakfast is the most important meal in the day, because they want to sell dairy products and milk and bacon and cereals, right? but it's the only reason, because there is no need for breakfast at all. It's the least important meal of the day.
Well, I love what you said, because you and I, we talked. I mean, I do fasting, and you fast. I basically eat once a day. Literally, you eat at
Yeah.
breakfast or sunset, and then the next day again, same time. You drink water in between. That's all. And that's one example. And I feel the greatest in the month, and I literally feel healthier. And
That's the best way. I do the same as you. So my evening meal is early, and then I skip breakfast. So you only consume between 11, 12, and 5. And the rest you're intermittent fasting. That's where your body does what? Renew, regenerate, repair, right? Yeah. That's why you feel great.
You're right. And by the way, it's to your point, in nature, you eat when you're hungry, when you need. Your body's going to tell you, I need something. Give it to me. You're going to feel that.
Most people cannot distinguish today between hunger and appetite. That's the problem. So that's the difficulty. When I have clients, I really got to teach them what is appetite, what is hunger, right? And so usually we're, let's say you have a big breakfast, which is a mistake, but it's what more, when you have a big breakfast, you go to work and somebody brought in donuts. What do? You smell them, you see other people eat it, so you're going to grab one. Is it because you're hungry? Impossible. You just had a big breakfast. It's the desire, it's the appetite. And so, that's the problem, right?
I mean, we want a snack. We want a snack in between a snack. And by the way, it's all, to your point, it's all consumerism, and it's all out there. The thing is, listen, people can do whatever they want. It's all individuals that have to make the changes. You make the change for you, and that's it. And to your point, whatever the TV says, the TV is going to do their thing, and you got to do yours. Now, if you see yourself in that mode, if something is not working for you, there's definitely a link. You got to do what's best for your health and your body. Take care of number one. That's the bottom line. And number one is you, folks. That's the bottom line, too. You can take care of your family if you don't take care of yourself. That's another thing, right? So it's always you.
The goose and the golden eggs, right?
Yeah. Well,
you gotta take care of yourself, or you can't take care of others.
That's it. Listen. Yeah, again, these are concepts that we all know about. But what I love about this type of show is that at least there's a reminder factor here that sometimes out of sight, out of mind. The more we hear about it, the more keeps us on focus.
Sure, repetition is important, for it to sink in.
But now not only we have that, we also have your resources. So now we're gonna go into your website and dissect that, and we're gonna make that page of all your tools. A piece of our lives, and hopefully, folks, it's going to be on the description of the show. So please go check it out, and take whatever you can. The books are available. They're really cool. Just by listening to your doctor and hearing what the content and the topics of those books, these could be books of a life-changing experience. Worst case, if you want more, you can reach out to the doctor and get some more help and direct coaching from him. So you have all these things that are available to you folks, and hopefully, and by the way, this is a worldwide show, so anywhere in the world, this is not limited, so you can benefit from this discussion anywhere, any place on the globe. So that's about it, Doctor. I want to really thank you so much. I mean, you spent a little bit more than the hour with me, and you've covered a lot of ground. I mean, listen, it's been real. I enjoyed every moment of it, and it was powerful stuff. But it's all necessary stuff. It's all healthier, stuff for all of us. Mind, body, spirit. I guess the biohacking concept is great for us to get familiar with it. I have actually someone that we have his show on, and it's about biohacking too. And it's powerful stuff. You hear those stories and the concept. It's amazing, folks. It's understanding our bodies, our biology is great. Understanding the environment is great. Understand how to maneuver things and manipulate, things around so we can do better. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, listen, we're all human. We all make mistakes. But to your point earlier, Doc, is how do we do that and reducing most of that and still go do the pizza, do the beer, do whatever you need to do. Enjoy life for like you said, fulfillment, right? Have a fulfilling life, but do what's necessary. That being said, I'm gonna shut up and shut down right now. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, so my website is biohackingunlimited.com. Right now, if you sign up for my free email, you actually get a free PDF of my latest book, The iHealth Method, Unleash Superpower. And again, my mentorship programs are there, keynote speaking, all my books are there, VIP, retreats in Costa Rica, everything you can find my website, biohackingunlimited.com. Thanks.
Biohackingunlimited.com. There it is. So we will have that on the description show. So please check it out, click on it, and follow Doc, and get the book.
Sounds
All right,
good.
Damien. Thank you, Doctor. So,
Thank
folks,
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. So, folks, that's it. This is it for today. Hope you enjoyed this particular episode, and a great show. And we'll be talking, I guess, the next show with a new guest, new topic, exciting topic eventually. And so, see you soon. Bye for now.